G'day guys and gal, Warhammer 40k can be summed up by a lot of bad decisions made by man-children with way too much power. Fortunately, people also tend to learn their lessons in 40k, hence why they've moved away from Primarchs being given the infinite power, so that now we have Chapter Masters. The idea being that if someone loses half of their brain cells and decides to pledge their soul to the forces of hell, you aren't losing half of mankind's galactic empire in the process. In a number of cases, these Chapter Masters have become almost as legendary as their original Primarchs, achieving feats of power thought impossible for a Space Marine, and becoming beacons of heroism for the Imperium. But what exactly is a Chapter Master? How much power do they have? How powerful are they? And how does one decide who gets to be a Chapter Master? All these questions and more will be answered. Before we get started, I'm so grateful that I don't have an addictive personality, but so many people, including close friends of mine, do. So I've once again partnered up with Fume today to show off a great alternative to some of the worst habits humans can have. Fume is a flavored air device. You just suck it in, taste some yummy air, and that's that. No vape, no nicotine, no smoke, just air, i.e. isn't bad for you. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I use it every day or need it, because as I said, I don't perform chemical warfare on my own lungs, but personally I've gotten two mates onto Fume, and both of them said it was a massive contributing factor to them quitting a bad habit. So I'm a massive believer in it. In saying that, it's not just for people wanting to kick a bad habit. The flavored air is yummy, with there being many flavors to choose from, such as crisp mint, orange vanilla, sparkling grapefruit, the new black licorice, and so on. The Fume also acts as a fiddle device for all you ADHD kids out there. The Fume comes in the standard prominent model or the slick dark oak and onyx model, and they've even released a base for it so you can store your Fume aesthetically or even spin it around, which adds to the fiddly fun. So to get started on crushing a bad habit, or you want something new and exciting to suck on, then head to tryfume.com and use code Majorkill or scan the QR code on screen, which will get you a free Fume topper to keep your hygiene at peak levels when you order the Fume Journey Pack. Cheers to Fume for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over everything you ever needed or wanted to know about Chapter Masters. Also, shout out to LJ, Cole, and Daryl. I worked on a hectic Chapter Master artwork with them, and they've asked me to unveil it in this video, so enjoy the obscenely dope artwork I'll be using. Let's get into it. Let's first provide more context on Chapter Masters and how they came about. They were actually present, in some form, during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, but they took on a bit of a different role. Within a legion there were companies and chapters and many subcategories. Company captains were the main leaders of a legion under their Primarch, but Chapter Masters were also very highly regarded. Not all legions had Chapter Masters, but the Ultramarines definitely did. When the Heresy ended, Guilliman decreed that no man should ever wield the power of a Space Marine legion ever again, hence ordered his brothers to break up their legions into chapters. Half of his brothers agreed, half disagreed. But with another civil war about to break out over the issue and Dawn getting fucked in the ass at the Iron Cage, all legions relented and agreed to break into chapters, at least the legions that had the option. Some, like the Salamanders, were so depleted that they literally couldn't split into chapters. Now, the Chapter Masters of the legions did not become the Chapter Masters of the new chapters. It was a different role entirely. No, most of the time, a company captain became the Chapter Master of their own chapter. For example, first Captain Sigismund became the Chapter Master of the Black Templars. Nasir Amit, the 5th company captain of the Blood Angels, became the Chapter Master of the Flesh Tearers, and so on. The idea was that if a Chapter Master fell to chaos, his chapter wouldn't be genetically enthralled to him, like they were with their Primarchs. So they also probably wouldn't be willing to follow them into damnation, and in the off chance they did, it would only be 1,000 Marines falling at a time, not over 100,000. The Heresy had also showed off how powerful and resourceful smaller forces of Marines could be, as evident by how much damage the Shadow Legions did to the traitors. Each legion's chapters were split based on their temperament. For example, the Crimson Fists were considered to be very by the book and organized, almost Ultramarine-like. So it was made by Alexis Pollux taking all the Imperial Fists with this temperament into the chapter. To contrast with this, Sigismund took the angry, weaponized Autism Imperial Fists, gave them swords, and made them the Black Templars. Over thousands of years, subtle gene seed mutation and experimenting has created many new chapters, with some being so different from their original parent chapter that they are unrecognizable. For example, the Mortificators, a chapter who practice cannibalism, are Ultramarine successors. Chapters gain full autonomy and often act outside the chain of command, with a Chapter Master being the ultimate authority of that chapter. Their authority doesn't stop there though. As a Chapter Master, they would have complete authority over their chapter's homeworld, its resources, fleets, and honestly any Imperial forces within the system. You know those movies where the cops are trying to handle a situation and then the FBI rock up and they're like, "Who's in charge?" And the cop is like, I am. And then the agent is like, not anymore, you're not, buddy. Well, yeah, that's what the chapter masters can and have done many times. There have definitely been some friction of authority in the past in shared war zones. Chapter masters, custodies, inquisitors, and even commissars all operate outside the chain of command, so who actually takes the lead when need arises really depends on who could win in a big fight. Hence, that honor is often given to the custodies or chapter masters, which, to be fair, they would have the best war and command experience. But dialing it back a bit, how does one actually go about picking a chapter master? Well, a chapter master position is almost always permanent and can only be ended with the death of the chapter master or if the chapter master is imprisoned. There is a more honorable third option I'll get into later in this video, but those are the two main ones. For example, after the Badab War, a number of usually loyalist chapters turned against the Imperium for what they thought was the right reasons. When they lost and faced trial, they were sent on penitent crusades, which are near suicidal crusades that either destroy the chapter or reforge it and redeem it if they are worthy. However, Koisan Nihotera, fuck that's an annoying name, the chapter master of the Mantis Warriors, was not given this opportunity, as he was the one that made the call to turn his chapter against the Imperium, so he was stripped of his rank and title and is now imprisoned. Either way, when a chapter master position becomes vacant, either the chapter's second in command, who is already designated as the future replacement, will step up, allowing for a rapid handover, or the leaders of the chapter, like the chief librarian, chief of techmarines, chief apothecary, company captains, and so on, will hold a vote and nominate the new chapter master. The process is almost always done very quickly, as 99 out of 100 times when a chapter master dies, it's mid-battle. In some circumstances, a space marine from a chapter who believes that their chapter master is incompetent, weak, or leading the chapter down the wrong path may challenge them to a duel for leadership. The challenging space marine must have solid support from a large chunk of the chapter for this to be taken seriously. This is what happened with the Soul Drinkers. A space marine killed his chapter master and then took on the mantle for himself. However, I imagine a lot of chapters wouldn't allow this, and if they did, it would not be a fight to the death. Like, it's not a very good look in my opinion, but what do I know? I'm just a dumb fuck YouTuber. The chosen chapter master must excel in all aspects of being a space marine. Not only do they need to be an absolute juggernaut in combat, as they often need to lead and inspire their chapter from the front, but they will also need the will to resist corruption, the tactical brilliance to coordinate their chapter, and the diplomatic sense to be able to work with other chapters, other imperial organizations, and if the need arises, other Xeno races. Because the criteria is so specific, almost all chapter masters end up being extremely impressive individuals. Imagine you're in a room with 1,000 most impressive people on the planet. Everyone is jacked, everyone is rich, everyone is extremely smart, and everyone is extremely charismatic. Now imagine you're the best of the 1,000's best. You are going to be like a 1 in a trillion type of person. As chapter master, you're also allowed to use chapter relics and special armors and weapons. Many chapters possess artifacts from the Great Crusade, Horus Heresy, or even Dark Age of technology. Maybe it's items that used to belong to their Primarch, like Tybros wearing what is thought to be Corvus Corax's siege gauntlets. Or maybe it's something made by the Primarch for their sons, like Kayvan Shrike wearing lightning claws forged by Corax. Maybe it's something entirely different, like the Dark Angels having enslaved men of iron. There's even some seriously heretical cases that people overlook, like the fact that Logan Grimnar's axe is literally a Cornite demon axe, but the dude is just too badass to be corrupted by it. Can anyone in the chapter be the chapter master? Technically yes, although it is very rare for chapter specialists, like the chapter librarians, to become chapter master. I do know of 2 cases of chapter masters also being librarians, the Blood Ravens and Soul Drinkers. And since both of those ended horribly, I think we can safely say librarians should not be in charge. The Iron Hands technically do and have chosen tech marines to be their chapter masters, but since pretty much all Iron Hands are tech marines, it's not a shocker. Overall, when a space marine is chosen to be a specialist, they just dedicate themselves to that. Chapter masters should be generalists. As a side question to this, can a Dreadnought be a chapter master? What would happen if a chapter master was severely injured and needed to be put in a Dreadnought? Well, this has actually happened a number of times, and the usual procedure is that the Dreadnought is heavily honored, however steps down as chapter master, as they would no longer be able to efficiently or effectively carry out their role. The best example of this is Bjorn the Fell-Handed, the first Great Wolf / chapter master after Lehman disappeared. He became the chapter's ancient after he was interred. However, there has been a Dreadnought chapter master. Chapter Master Dagon of the Blood Swords remained in charge even after becoming a Dready. He would soon go on to be slain, but even as he died in his Dreadnought form, he was still their official chapter master. Overall, becoming a Dreadnought would be the most honorable way to be discharged from being a chapter master without dying. Does Chaos also have chapter masters, or are they called something else? Well, it depends. Chaos warbands that have split off from their original traitor legions do not bother with the term. They just have Chaos Lords or Lords of Warbands or whatever. However, if a chapter is to fall to Chaos, they will often bring with them their culture and customs, thus their previous chapter masters maintaining their title. Let's now check out some of the dopest chapter masters and why they're so awesome. The chapter master of the Salamanders is called Tushan, and is the pinnacle of what it means to be a son of Vulcan. A warm heart, a big hug, but a terribly volcanic rage if you act like a piece of shit. During a joint campaign with the Marines Malevolent during the Second War for Armageddon, the Marines bombed a refugee camp that was being attacked by orcs, causing a lot of civilian casualties. Now, while this was the easiest and most direct way to win that battle, the camp could have been saved without getting bombed if the Marines Malevolent got their hands dirty and put their asses on the line. Tushan summoned the chapter master of the Marines Malevolent and proceeded to beat the shit out of him. Everyone liked that. Chapter Master Dante of the Blood Angels is the oldest living non-stasist or dreadnoughted marine in the setting, being one of the few heroes of the setting who actually had humble beginnings but has now become a legend across the entire Imperium. A golden warrior with the face of Sanguinius descending down upon countless battlefields. As the saying goes, beware of an old man in a profession where men die young. Now at 1,500 years old, Dante was old and tired. However, due to the Blood Angels' space vampirism, they age a lot slower than other space marines, and with Dante recently becoming a Primaris, and specifically told by Sanguinius he wasn't allowed to die, Dante is up and charging harder than ever. The last chapter master I'll show off is the largest space marine who has ever lived, Tybros the Red Wake. Wielding modified tactical dreadnought armor, gigantic lightning siege claws, and balls the size of basketballs, there isn't much that could slow, let alone stop this monster. There are scenes of him solo charging down hallways full of Tyranids, and within minutes, all that remains is the mangled corpses of Xenos. A lot of people have given me shit over the years as they think I have overblown Tybros' size and created incorrect lore that now confuses the newbies, but fuck those people. This dude is fucking huge and I will die on that hill. Tybros stands a head taller than his elite Terminator bodyguard, who themselves would be notably taller than normal Space Marines. Space Marines are 7 to 9 feet tall. They aren't all the same height. The elite Terminators of the Space Sharks, who themselves are based on Islanders and Maoris, so fucking huge to begin with, would be closer to the 9 feet tall mark. A head makes up an eighth of our height, so with an extra head of Space Marine height, Tybros is looking to be just over 10 feet tall in armor, meaning the dude is the size of a Primarch. The tech priest that saw him said he was shocked when Tybros moved, as he initially registered him as a massive statue. So get the fuck off my back. I know more about 40k lore than 99.9% of 40k fans. I live and breathe this shit. But yeah, chapter masters are pretty cool. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then subscribe. We're less than 4,000 subscribers away from 600k. So if you don't subscribe now, then you are gay. Fucking poetry. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.